So, Alex, you did something that I thought was really brave, because, Hollywood is always relied on this glittery dream world of a place where everyone's rich and successful. And in order to keep that dream world in place, it has relied on us workers to stay silent about the ways
Hmm.
that we're exploited. And to me, you really you really blew it out of the water when you revealed that you went to the WGA Awards with a negative bank account and a bow tie that you had bought on credit.
Yeah.
So at the time that you revealed this, I don't think a lot of people were talking about, the fact that they were TV writers who are broke.
Yeah.
And we can go back and forth about like, did you manage your money well, whatever, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
the point is the point is that I think it took a lot of bravery to speak up about that because of how how tight that rope around our necks is in Hollywood to
Yeah.
like appear successful at all times. So, what made you do that? Like what made you what I guess what was the impetus for speaking up about that specifically?
Yeah, it feels like there was a rope around my neck, and it was a gilded, glittery rope. And I was so grateful to be nominated for the WGA award, but by then, it had been like a year since or maybe more since I had actually worked on The Bear. So whatever money I got from that was long gone, because it was staff writer level. And I also knew that I found out because like when I went to the Bear premiere, I was like in a hoodie and Tim's, and I realized, oh, that's not what they want. They want you. Everyone else is in gowns, and I just literally cultural ignorance, And these are things you learn the hard way. Of they want you to look the part. They don't care what you have to do to look the part. They want you to look the part. That's a big piece of Hollywood. It's optics. It's a lot like politics. Hey, the president can't come in wearing a sweatshirt, or people will be like, "Oh, I don't trust this guy." It's stupid. We're all human beings, but that's how our minds work in these high level places. And so I knew I have to really look the part to show people that I belong. And I did all this work to get this award. When I get this award, I don't want there to be any asterisk. I want people to see me as a legitimate part of this industry, of this show. So I decided, I had to get the money together, and I had no money, man. I was really, really broke. And at the time, it was just this ultimate irony. It felt almost like I had snuck in to this exclusive party. And when I got the award, I passed it around to all the service workers and let them all take pictures. And I felt like that's the kind of person I want to be in this business. Maybe I had to put on a disguise of a bow tie to get in and look the part, but once I'm in there, I'll pass this power along to more people. And at that award show, everyone was talking about, do you think we're going to go on strike? Do you think we're going to go on strike? Because it was all WGA members. And the idea was, yeah, most likely. And I realized when I was there that I had a very unique story, and that most people hadn't heard it. And by that point, my story was old news to me. It had happened over a year ago. And so I'm like, yeah, of course. But when I would tell people who didn't know about this, that when I worked on The Bear, I wasn't getting much money. It was a pandemic winter. I had a space heater under my desk to keep me warm because our power was out. My landlord had died. And I went to a public library to help write episode 8 of the first season. People were shocked. And I was like, I realized, oh, this is not supposed to be how Hollywood works. And it only is expected that way because we keep silent. So I remember there was a strike authorization meeting to vote on the strike in LA at the Universal Sheridan. And my fiance drove me there. And while we were driving, my mom was in the hospital at the time. My brother was in the hospital at the time. Neither had health insurance. And I was just beating myself up so much. I had so much shame, to be honest, of like, wow, I failed. Like, I came to Hollywood and somehow I've come out the other end, chewed up to bits. I have no money to help my family. And now I'm about to vote away my capacity to make money in this industry, that I should be emergent. I had just won the WGA award, but I was about to vote away my work. And I knew I had to, but I was crying on the way there because it was such a hard moment and it felt so dark. I didn't see this on the other side. What I saw was lonely struggle, which is what usually in Hollywood we endure. We all are on our lonely struggles. I have friends who worked on FX shows that were also, they had side jobs while they were working on the show, and that's just become the norm for staff writers and people of color in this industry. So I went to that meeting and it was very inspiring, and there were speeches about why we have to go on strike, and then they opened it up for the audience, for the members to ask questions and give comments. And so many people just expressed fear or anger that it had gotten to this point. And what I felt like I wasn't hearing was solidarity and a real grounding in why this is absolutely necessary. And I was sitting in the back and I didn't plan on talking, and I just walked up to the microphone and I shared my story. Um, and I was looking around, and people were like almost in awe that I was speaking out on this, speaking my truth, because it's so abnormal, I guess. And maybe this is where my lack of quote unquote experience in Hollywood comes in handy. Sometimes you break rules you don't even know of, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But I broke one of the essential rules of Hollywood, which is to shut the fuck up until you have power. Sorry if I can't curse.
You
And
can.
while I was sharing it, my voice was shaking. I wasn't speaking with the confidence I've spoken in some press now, but people started standing up and like applauding and giving me a standing ovation. And I wasn't like getting louder, I was just looking around confused because I was so stuck in that loneliness of this struggle. And it felt like my candle was about to go out. And then around me was like this inferno of people who were like, "You're not alone. You're not crazy. This is how the industry eats us up. And it hasn't been like this." And then afterwards, a lot of people of color and young people were like, "Dude, like that's my experience. I thought I was alone. Like you have to share this. You have to share this." And WGA's comms team got in touch with me, so I decided, all right, like let's roll the dice. This could be the end of my career by speaking up like this, and I have no idea if I'll have a career after this. I hope so, but the impact that it's made, I think it might be one of the biggest impacts I'll ever make in my career. I could win an Oscar. I think that what I did during this strike, has made a huge impact on the culture of Hollywood and made people feel like they're not alone. And it's broken past some of the gaslighting of Hollywood. And I'll always be really proud of that. I've like gone into like a coffee shop. I remember they were talking about the strike and they were like, "Did you hear about that bear writer who like went to the award, yeah, both
Yeah.
sides, and just getting coffee?" They don't know it's me, and
Yeah.
that's also what's cool. Like the story and that truth has spread far beyond me, so it's no longer about me, and it's no longer about the bear. It's about the system, and it's nothing personal against the bear. I'm grateful that I got
Yeah.
brought on in the first place. Literally, truly grateful. It's just a system, and the system does not discriminate based on how good the show is or how talented the writer is. The system discriminates everyone, and it tries to exploit everyone top to bottom, even the showrunners at this point. Half the guild is making the minimum. And this strike has been super eye opening for everyone outside the business. And I think that's why we've seen so much solidarity from other labor unions, from workers across the country, because in coffee shops, in restaurants, people are having these little conversations. "Did you see that guy went to the award show with a bow tie?" And it seems like this small thing. It's not the biggest tragedy happening in America right now, but I think it's one of those perfect little metaphors that all that glitters is not gold. And we just hopefully can realize from this moment, even when the power brokers return and try to scare us, our power is in the truth and authenticity of our personal stories. And people might try to say, "Oh, you mismanage your money. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, you're just complaining." They can say whatever. These are the experiences I lived through. I worked on that whole show freezing my balls off, dude. That's
Yeah.
no heat, no heat when I was sleeping. And that impacted what I pitched on the show. And no one can try to disagree with that. They weren't there, they weren't freezing. And in unions, we find power in what they call grievances, but also, I just want to say the truth of the situation, the truth of our working conditions. And the next phase of this skill has to be, like we've been talking about, the truth of the culture in this industry and the truth of the lack of respect and the lack of dignity that we feel. And if we can organize around that, that's when we really change this industry. This strike, as grueling as it is, it's not the war. It's the first battle. The real
Right.
war will be a war for respect.